Hello guys, I know it's been a while since I did a gear related video, but I'm super excited about this one because I'm going to be talking about something that's very special to me and I know a lot of you guys really enjoy too, and that is wild camping. For me, wild camping is all about the flexibility and the spontaneousness of it all. You say, I'm going to go out for 3 days and I want to see this and I want to camp here and I want to, I don't know, walk this distance, and although you might plan a route, a lot of it you kind of make up as you go along. You pick your campsite when you get to the area you want to sleep in. Stuff happens along the way and that influences what you end up doing. But all of these things coming together, that's what make the experience for me, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have your own reasons as well. So let's get into it. This is my bag. This is the Low Alpine Cerro Torre ND. That's the girl version, 60 to 80 litres. 80 litres sounds like total overkill for 2 days in the mountains, which it is. This is barely filling 60 litres of this bag's capacity, and if you had lighter weight gear, you wouldn't even be using that. You might use 45 litres if you went super lightweight. But can I afford any of that super lightweight gear? No. So that's why this bag is the size it is. So the top part of this bag is mostly taken up by my daytime hill gear, the stuff you need accessible during the day, and my overnight stuff, sleeping bag, food and all that takes up the kind of the lower portion of the bag. So starting at the top, in this massive top pocket, I've got maps. Obviously maps are pretty important, but something that you might want to take into consideration for multiple days is the area your map covers. I think for multi-day stuff, carrying around lots of 1 to 25 maps can be quite awkward, especially if they're the protected, waterproof versions. For example, if you're in the Lake District and you want to do a round trip like I did a couple of weeks ago, you will need 4 different maps to cover the whole Lake District. It's a lot of bulk that you don't need to be carrying around. So I'd recommend either using 1 to 50 OS maps or the 1 to 40 the BMC Harvey's maps. They're really good because they cover a large area. Also, something I've recently discovered is these AA Walkers maps. This is 1 to 25, but it covers all of the Central Lake District, and I know they have others as well that cover different areas of the UK. And of course, if you're using plain paper versions of the maps, get yourself a map case as well. A couple of other little bits that I carry. I've mentioned this in an earlier video that I'm working towards my Mountain Leader Award at the moment. So this is a couple of navigation aids. These are some little beads that I use when I'm doing pacings to count how many hundreds of meters I've walked. And this is a little timing card with just timings of certain distances at different paces. You only really need that if you're going to be doing specific nav training. But yeah, that's just something I carry. Also in the top pocket, I've got these 2 little dry bags. This one, very important, goes everywhere with me because it's got the 3 essentials: hat, gloves and a buff. I wouldn't be going out onto the mountains without a hat and a pair of gloves in any weather, any time of year. And on a similar kind of topic actually, if the weather's doing the opposite, I would put in a sun hat and a pair of sunglasses. In fact, the sunglasses are always in there because during the summertime, high levels of UV, look after your eyes and just have a pair of sunnies in all the time in case the sun does come out. Yep, sun hat as well. That's just because fairly fair skin, so I just take precautions like that. This other little dry bag is, well, at the moment it's just got my little coin purse in case I stop off at the pub, and a head torch in it. So that stuff isn't as used as much. It could probably live in the main rucksack, but just out of habit I always just have that kind of stuff handy. So that's it for the top section of the rucksack. If we delve into the main compartment, we will find a large dry bag. This is where the rest of my normal hill kit lives. So in here I have a food bag, which is very empty at the moment because I'm not actually going anywhere, but usual hill food of having some sandwiches, flapjack, chocolate bars to keep yourself going, but yeah, having some salt and some kind of carbs in there as well, it's just really important. I could talk for an entire video about the different foods you can have on the hill, and especially wild camp and all your different meal options. So I'm actually going to try and do a separate video about that fairly soon, hopefully. So I won't go into too much detail on the food stuff. Also in the top of the rucksack, I've got a first aid kit in its own designated first aid dry bag, just so it's really recognisable. Kind of a medium size, like trail one, not too massive, but it's not just the basics. I have got enough in here to kind of cope with a variety of situations. So that's another kind of no-brainer really, have a first aid kit. On a similar topic, this other red dry bag is my oh shit kit. I carry this when I'm out with groups as well. In here is basically just a few things for other problem solving type situations, and includes another first aid kit. Well, this is my blister first aid kit actually, and I just have in here the things I need to deal with blisters. Compeed, I've got big plasters, little plasters, loads of tape to just wrap ankles and feet up in the case that you do get blisters. Not even if you do get blisters, but if you find that you're getting like hot spots or your feet are really uncomfortable or itchy or whatever, you've got stuff handy to just sort it out and cushion your feet so that they don't develop into blisters. Because if you're going out for like 3 days, the last thing you want is to have blisters on day one. Also in here I have some cable ties. I've also got a little tube of emergency sun cream. It's all gaffer taped up so it doesn't leak everywhere. I will have another bottle with me most of the time in summer, but this is more if I've forgotten that, or I don't know, I need some spare or something. I don't know, this Mayo shit kit, this just kind of stays with me all the time in my bag. Yeah, so just a little tube of that. In the winter I'd be carrying a spare head torch as well, but it's not winter, so I don't need that. The last thing in the daytime section of the rucksack is my spare layer. Always bring a spare layer. I think I'll talk at the end of the video a bit more about clothes and the kind of clothing that I'd be taking with me. But this is my Montane Prism, really nice little thing. It's Primaloft, it's super lightweight, dries really quickly. I can use it as a pillow. Yeah, and it's purple, so I really like that. I basically live in it for work, for when I'm playing out climbing or whatever, and for when I'm going wild camping. Waterproof top. This is my Paramo. It's overkill for this time of year. I am investing in a nice lightweight Gore-Tex one, but it hasn't arrived yet. So at the moment, I'm still living in this very waterproof, but also quite warm thing. And a pair of waterproof trousers as well. And it may seem obvious, but if you're going to be heading out for like 3 days, 2 days, whatever, make sure you've reproofed them. There's nothing worse than getting out in the rain and realising that your waterproofs are like wetting out and the water's not beading off properly. Look after these bits of kit and they look after you. So we're now delving into the overnight section of this rucksack. Big dry bag. This is all my food and my cooking stuff. I dry bag things up not just to waterproof it, but also just to kind of keep things separate so I know where everything is. That's my overnight bag, that's my daytime stuff, that's my food bag, all that kind of things. Speaking of food, we'll start with that. A lot of this stuff normally lives in my daytime food bag, but this is just the way stuff's been thrown together. Again, I won't talk about this too much because I am going to do a specific video on all your different options for wild camping meals. But my usual go-to is a pack of couscous, which costs about 50p, and some sort of protein fat sauce. These are just Matson's sausages. And for breakfast, I normally just go with little porridge sachets. What else have we got in here? Ah, right. Some people will use a super lightweight mug of some sort. I like my nice big enamel style one. This one's cool because it's got a lid, so it keeps all the flies and the grass out of my brew. But yeah, I just like having a big mug, and I just like the aesthetics of enamel mugs. They're quite cool for camping. And to go with that, I've recently started not drinking tea and coffee when I'm out wild camping. It's kind of a personal thing, but Tea never quite tastes right, normal builder's tea, and coffee just kind of, I don't know, instant sachets just don't quite tick the box. So I've switched over to having, got a little tin here full of herbal teas, loads of different flavours you can get, and they're just really nice. Or hot chocolate as well, plenty of sugar in there, but just nice and comforting. Okay, you're not getting the caffeine, but do you really need it when you're out, you know, just wild camping, just enjoying the outdoors? So the next thing in here is stove and a gas canister. This is just lightweight little pot slash burner combined. Quite a nice little one, if I can open it. Oh yeah, so I'll carry a lighter with me, but having a flint and steel is just a foolproof way of lighting your stove, because they work when they're wet and they don't run out of gas. So they're really good. And then I've got just a little burner thing. Those ones that sit on top of the gas canister and screw on top, they're really good, and they're really small. I have got one of those, but this is just what was in the pot at the moment, and it's one of those floor ones that has a little stand on it. So that's nice and cool, and it all just kind of folds down into the pot, which is really good. For gas canisters, this is my favourite size. This is like 230 to 250. It's that kind of medium sized one. The really big ones, like the 500 gram ones, they're overkill. Even for a 4-day X-bed, you're not going to go through that much gas. And the little teeny tiny ones, like the 100 gram ones, I mean, they're good, they're lightweight, but just not a particularly cost effective way of buying gas. I do this quite regularly, so I tend to just buy one of those and it lasts me long enough. The little ones, I don't know, maybe that's wrong, maybe it is perfectly cost effective, but I just stick with those just because they're a good size. And lastly, in the overnighting bag, we have the obligatory bit of bog roll. There's normally a trowel in here. Trowel has gone walkabout, but if you're going to be out for one night, I sometimes don't bother, but it's not that much weight, and if you need to go, you need to go, but you need to make sure you do it in a way that's not going to be bad for the environment or be nasty for other hill users. So a bit of bog roll, some antibacterial gel stuff, and a little trowel. Some guys just use like boots or rocks or whatever. If you can get a little trowel, it's quite handy, but yeah, that's personal preference. As long as you're being safe and hygienic and disposing of things in a safe way, you know, you've got options. Okay, so sleeping, right at the bottom here. This is massive. This is still my Vango 600 like 4-season sleeping bag. It's too much for this time of year, but I don't want to shell out on another like 3-season sleeping bag. I do have the Vango 200, which I got when I was like 8, so it's a fair few years old now, but that's like a 1-season, 2-season top sleeping bag, and for a lot of the time up in the mountains it actually gets quite cold even at this time of year, so I normally just go with my massive one, and at least I'm toasty warm, eh? And to go with that, a more recent purchase, this is the Alpkit Cloud Base. This is a new sleeping mat. I did have an X-Bed Hyperlight. It popped last summer, wasn't happy about that, but I got this replacement for literally half the price. It's bigger, as in the actual mat is like wider and longer, but it packs down to a pretty similar size. Doesn't have any insulation in it, but it's just a really nice lightweight bit of kit. In fact, I'm going to show it you. Let's get it out, let's blow it up, I'm going to show it you. So as you can see, this thing is pretty big and it's pretty thick. Yeah, super comfortable. As I said, my old X-Bed one wasn't that wide, wasn't very long, even for little me. So this, just having a bit more space, is really nice. I suppose if you were to be out in winter, it wouldn't be as warm because there's no insulation in it. But we're not talking about winter because it's not a winter video. Need to keep reminding myself that. And also, you're not touching the ground. I don't know if you've had that thing with like quite a thin roll mat, and you'll roll over and like your hips and your shoulders and everything just kind of digs into the ground. Super uncomfortable. I don't get that with this, just because it's got enough padding in it to stop you touching the floor, which is awesome. So yeah, love that. Alpkit Cloud Base is literally about, was it 50 quid? I've seen it for 40 quid on offer when they have sales. Totally worth investing, would recommend. Last little thing on sleeping. This is my tent. You guys will have seen this before, I'm sure of it. This is stuck in the bag. This is my Vango Banshee 200, a 2-man tent. It's not 2-man. I just sleep in that, and it's pretty cozy still, even with, you know, with a big bag, that is. But it's just nice. I think it's about 1.5 kilos. I put it in a dry bag now rather than the supplied little stuff sack, just because, I don't know, my bag has like a separate bottom kind of section that I can zip off, so I can, if it's chucking it down in the morning, get up, pack all my sleeping stuff and all bits and pieces into the bag, chuck the bag out the tent, get out the tent, drop the tent, put it in the dry bag, and throw it in the bottom of the bag, where that weight is going to be held the best. And yeah, that's just, for me, just a really convenient, easy way of doing it. If you want to know a bit more about either the Vango Banshee or the Vango, I'm like a little Vango ambassador here, the Vango Venom 600 sleeping bag, I have done reviews on both, so you can check those out. They are quite outdated now, but still relevant. What else we got kicking around in here? A spork. I was wondering where that had gone actually. Fell down the bottom of the bag. Yeah, you can get titanium ones. I've snapped quite a few of these. But yeah, just ticks the cutlery box. Sometimes a little sit mat can be quite nice. You can buy one specially, or you can cut yourself a piece of carry mat and gaffer tape it up. That's a better option a lot of the time. We'll also often carry a water carrying vessel of some sort, just 2 litre plastic bottle, 1 litre plastic bottle, doesn't really matter. You can buy special water carriers. The point is that you might not necessarily be right next to your water source, although you can plan to, and I normally do plan to, you know, camp next to a tarn or something. If you're on a mountain top, you have to get your water up there somehow. And I particularly do that if it's forecast to be very hot and dry. I did have one wild camp last summer, just hot August week, and we camped kind of in the Lake District, but our water source, we saw on the map, well, there's a stream there, we can use that. It dried up and we had to walk for ages down into this kind of corrie, just to find the water, like the stream that was flowing properly, and then walking back up with this pan full of water was quite tricky. Got wet boots, but so yeah, just having one of those handy, that way, you know, in the later part of your day, if you're passing a water source, you can fill it up, and then you're not having to lug around litres of water all the time. It also means that my Nalgene's then spare to put drinking water in if I'm boiling the water or purifying it or whatever. Like I said at the start of the video, for me, wild camping's just a really nice, flexible way of spending your time in the mountains, and because of that, I think I just, you know, maybe pack a couple of luxuries, not even luxuries, but, you know, something to sit on so you can actually watch the sunset without having to move your tent into a different position, or, you know, a little bit of dark chocolate. I'm quite partial to a bit of that, or just, you know, something to snack on that's not your daytime food. Another kind of necessity, especially if you're wild camping up in Scotland. Where's it gone? Aha! You've got to have a little tipple sometimes. So yeah, a little flask or something. Don't be carrying tinnies up the mountain, guys, but little something if you like. If not, you know, it's have herbal teas, have whatever you want really. It's your experience, your wild camping trip. Make it as comfortable or not as you like. Okay, so that's the bag empty now. Quickly on clothing and that kind of thing. First off, boots. Boots are super important, and it's good when you've got a big heavy pack on to have some that are just more sturdy, I suppose. These are my La Sportiva Trangos. They're a B1 kind of alpine Gore-Tex boot. Maybe not the most waterproof ones in the world. I would like to get some like B1 leather ones, but bank balance, you know. But yeah, these are really nice. They're getting quite worn out now from all the walking I've done in them, but they're just a really good boot just for your ankles and just for your feet comfort when you're walking for many miles with a heavy bag on. Having lightweight kind of flexible boots doesn't really do it. Okay, so clothing. I started out doing like D&V, and I'd be wearing a cotton t-shirt and a big cotton polyester whatever hoodie and joggers, you know, cotton tracky bottoms, and that stuff just doesn't dry. Okay, it's comfy and it's warm, but it does not dry. So I'm like fully synthetic and wools now. Starting at the bottom, merino wool undies and merino wool socks. A little bit more pricey, but they just keep me so comfortable. They dry really quickly and they keep the odour down. So if you're going to be out walking for like 2-3 days, you're going to stink a bit by the end, especially in the summertime when it's hot. Yeah, so just having that, keeping the odour to a minimum. It's not just good for your companions if you are going out with companions, but it's good for just your comfort and your hygiene as well. Then going to layer up. T-shirts, again, like cheap synthetic, you know, polyester breathable t-shirts. They're like a £5. Okay, you can spend like 30 quid on a mountain equipment one or whatever, but yeah, just really cheap and just way better than a cotton t-shirt for keeping you comfortable. Again, you know, walking trousers, standard pair of Crag obviously here that I've had for about 3 years, and they're looking tatty but they're just really comfortable. They dry really quickly. You know, you're going to be out in the hills, why not wear some clothes that's designed for that? I'll also be wearing a micro fleece of some kind, you know, thin insulation to wear during the day. I'm actually wearing, this is the one I wore the other week on my expedition. That's what I wore. As a personal preference, I also have a lightweight soft shell. It's a nice little Berghaus one I picked up a while ago, but it's just got plenty of pockets and it's just a windbreak really. So if I am quite warm, but it's really windy on the tops, I can have my t-shirt and then I can have this over the top to keep the wind out without having to put an insulating layer on. Layers just give you loads of options to keep yourself comfortable. I hope you found this video useful or at least interesting. I would be keen to hear what you guys take out, because I know a lot of you are wild campers, so do share in the comments. And if you've got any questions for me, stick them down there too, that's cool. If you do want to see what happened on my most recent wild camping expedition, I will link somewhere. You can go and check that video out. That was a really cool one. We started in the north of Lake District and just made our way back here to Coniston in the south over 3 days. That was really nice. So please do tell me about the adventures that you've had wild camping. I do read every comment that comes up. And yeah, let's just share stories about this awesome sport. It's not a sport, lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. Okay guys, thank you very much for watching. I will see you soon.